Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, October 16th, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The two main political parties in the November 5th general elections today signed on to the Code of Conduct put together in collaboration with the National Monitoring and Consultative Mechanism spearheaded by the SVG Christian Council. The NMCM said the Code of Conduct is intended to foster democracy, promote respect for human rights, encourage participation in the electoral process, and promote an election process free from violence. General Secretary of the Unity Labour Party, Julian Francis, signed on behalf of the party and its leader, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. In his address following the signing, Francis gave his party's commitment to uphold the principles of the Code of Conduct.
We are traversing unusual ground in this election, in that one political party is going for a 5th term in office and the other is competing to stop the 5th term. Both arguments will be presented to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in accordance with this Code of Conduct, and the qualified voters who are registered will make their decision at the poll. Neither of us has anything to do or should not in any way try to influence them on election day. We have our 27 days of actual campaign. We've had 4 days of campaign, and I want us to do it in a peaceful and loving manner.
Francis used the opportunity to speak on issues he said are surfacing on the campaign trail, which are against the Code of Conduct. He mentioned the defacing of public property and the recent destruction of a billboard of the ULP's candidate for South Leeward, Dr. Minerva Glasgow.
In other words, all this painting up of the road and the back walls and side roads and must not happen. It is specifically in the code, and we are signing to that this morning. Regrettably, I have seen evidence in at least one constituency that I saw last night for myself where such painting has started. And I want to make sure that the supporters of the Unity Labour Party are being reminded this morning, and let us not be, as we say locally, follow fashion. So I am pleased to be here to sign this Code of Conduct. I give the commitment on behalf of the party. While I sign it, I brought the rubber stamp of the Unity Labour Party and stamped it. So I represent all the supporters of the Unity Labour Party and every single member of the leadership of the party. And we give this our full support, and you can expect from us a very clean and effective campaign up until election day.
The leader of the New Democratic Party, the NDP, Dr. Godwin Friday, who signed the Code of Conduct on behalf of his party, said it is a substantive commitment on behalf of both political parties, which must ensure that the principles of the Code of Conduct are upheld.
It's important that we understand the gravity of the process of voting, the process of ensuring that the leadership, that the political party, the political leaders who are entrusted with the responsibility, the high office, the trust to govern our country, are the people whom the will of the people, those who are selected, reflect the will of our people. What this means is that the election process, there's a higher principle than simply who at the end of the day forms government. The principle is that that formation of government must reflect the will of the people. I agree that this is an important election. It is more than just a situation where we intend to stop the Unity Labour Party from having five terms. It is that we want to persuade the people of this country that we have a better plan and a vision for the future of our country, and hope
Dr. Friday said the code of conduct is also important to ensure that the will of the people is reflected during and after the general elections, and that any attempt to prevent this from happening will be a disservice to the electorate and the people of SVG.
I join with my colleague, the Honorable Julian Francis. When you recognize him, I'm sorry, missed at the beginning. The Honorable Julian Francis as the General Secretary of the Unity Labour Party in pledging our support to maintain the spirit and to act in accordance with what is spelled out in the Code of Conduct. I too denounce any defacing of candidates' posters, and for those who are responsible for the defacing of the poster or the pulling of the poster of the candidate Minerva Glasgow, we do not support that, and we discourage anyone, whomever it is, from doing so, either to the posters of any of the political candidates or parties in this campaign. We must have this as an election of a contest of ideas, a contest of a judgment on our practices and our proposals and the way we have conducted ourselves. And anything that allows the people of our country to have a clear understanding of what those are must be supported, because then their choice will be properly informed. And when the votes are counted on November the 5th, that we can have confidence that it reflects the will of the people.
Representative of the National Monitoring and Consultative Mechanism and the SVG Christian Council, Reverend Adolph Davis, said the signing of the Code of Conduct by the two main political parties contesting the upcoming general elections is a significant act of responsibility, integrity, and credibility in an environment of competitive politics. He encouraged both parties to uphold the Code of Conduct.
Sometimes we have some over-enthusiastic persons who want to go rogue. I don't think that will speak well for the parties. I think if you're leading our nation, it's important as best and as reasonable as possible for you to be able to influence even the people who want to go rogue. And so I think it is really important for the parties to using the machinery to ensure the supporters, those who are overly enthusiastic and zealous, to, as best as possible, to adhere to the code and find ways, help us. If your supporters are over enthusiastic and do contrary to the code, I think you can also help in reining them in and admonishing, or, you know, we all have to work together to try and raise the bar in our election process. So we anticipate that our leaders will lead their supporters and not be led by their supporters.
Voter education will intensify as election day draw closer, so says Supervisor of Elections Dora James during an interview with SVG-TV News yesterday. James said that they are finalizing the protocols for November 5th, bearing in mind that the country is still in a pandemic and that the Ministry of Health remains the body to institute the protocols.
There are other considerations which I can't speak to now, unfortunately, at this time, because those were discussions and have to be signed off on. But the basic protocols still stand. Sanitizing our pencils, we will sanitize our boots, and we will encourage our people to wear their masks, to stand their distance, and to respect each other.
The Supervisor of Elections said that her office will work with political parties as well as the voters on what is expected of them on Elections Day.
But persons will remind them what they must do, how they go about the procedure, what is their responsibility as a voter, and we would be able to get that across before the 5th of November. No, we want them to go through as quickly as possible so that at least there would be no lingering, and when they're finished, they don't linger at the station. We want them to move on, and that is important, that when you finish voting, you leave the station.
James is asking that all persons complied with guidelines and allow the process to be smooth.
Forcing would have to be a collaborative effort. It takes us, the electoral staff, and the people. The people, because they have been hearing about the COVID protocols, and we ask them that they would comply. Once we have compliance, we wouldn't have an issue. We just want people to comply. They're keeping themselves safe and they're keeping others safe. So we ask that they do so. We will continue to go to the airwaves and speak about the whole issue of the COVID. And I know health will do likewise to remind us about the consequences and the whole issue of staying safe.
The Unity Labour Party has set out its plans, policies, programs, and a quality slate of candidates for the November 5th general elections and deserves a 5th term in office. So says party leader, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who was addressing supporters at a village stop in Rosebank yesterday afternoon.
Let me start with the leadership. Ralph is a 5-star general. Friday is a private in Aima Corporal. Watching a man was been through it all. And we have led you very sensibly. This year, if you want to test the metal, yet again, we handle COVID like a boss. No country in the Caribbean handle COVID as well as the Unity Labour Party handle COVID in St. Vincent. The economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is doing better during the time of COVID than any other economy in the Caribbean.
At another ULP meeting in the Rockies in the East Kingston constituency, Dr. Gonsalves told the gathering that no other political party has taken care of the elderly as the ULP has done.
We have more elderly persons on NIS pension than ever before. You know, we have Sabi, over about 10,000 people on NIS pension. And it's 4th time we increased the minimum pension since we in government. And I will tell you this, that's the minimum. By the way, the NDP increased the minimum pension once in 17 years. Sometimes people believe that politics is only for the young people. It's for the young and the old and in between. Because everybody has his or her concern.
PM Gonsalves said in the 5th term, the party will continue to strengthen the security and safety net of the elderly. In reference to the youth, Dr. Gonsalves said while there is an unemployment issue in the country, the ULP administration has created over 12,000 jobs since assuming office in 2001 and will continue to do so upon the construction and operation of several international hotel brands. He said the administration has also worked on several projects aimed at national development.
Make it sustainable from the old days where things was up and down. In order to transform this economy, we had to carry out the education revolution. We had to do poverty reduction. We had to build the Argyle International. We had to build the Canoan Jet Airport. We had to do the Rabica Bridge. We had to go and do the IT to make sure everybody got the cell phones and everybody got advanced ICT.
Dr. Gonsalves expressed confidence that the electorate will give the ULP a 5th term in office, noting that it is the better alternative.
This island of St. Vincent, the NDP must know in their hearts that they are losing the election. They're losing it big. We winning the 8 we have, and we taking the 3 closest ones. East Kingston, South Leeward, and North Leeward. And I'm telling you this, in the last 2 weeks of the campaign, we're going to elect Dominic in Central Kingston and Debbie in West Kingston. Holding Friday at home.
Continuing to stress that the November 5th general elections is the most important in the country's history. Leader of the New Democratic Party, the NDP, Dr. Godwin Friday, said what the people vote for will determine not just how things are for the next 5 years, but for many years to come, and that the voters cannot get it wrong.
ULP, they've been in office for nearly 20 years. And they have the gall to tell you they want to be the rulers of this country for a quarter of a century. Honestly. And then when you see what they have done, never mind all the talk, they have made a lot of promises and they have broken those promises. You know them. They talk a lot about creating jobs, but there are more people in this country today that are unemployed than when they came into office.
Dr. Friday said that the NDP is offering hope to Vincentians and once elected into office will be focusing on job creation and sustainable development.
That is much better for you and for your children and for the people of this blessed country of ours. When you feel it difficult here in this area, in Central Leeward, when you're finding things hard, it is not your imagination. It is not you complaining without good reason. The fact of the matter is, the poverty assessment report backs up your feeling, because in 2018, the poverty head count went from 28% to over 60%, which means that the people in this area, in Central Leeward and Barreley, have gotten poorer under the ULP and Ralph Gonsalves. In fact, most of the people in the country have gotten poorer. One of the few areas that have gotten better, that has done better in the poverty assessment report, is his constituency of Connery.
Referring to the poverty assessment survey, which he said was conducted in 2018, the NDP leader said it shows the continued failure of the ULP administration and the hardship it has brought on Vincentians.
To election time, they bring you a long list of things that they say they're going to do. And they carry it on like you're just coming into government. And they're fixing potholes here and there. They're painting up buildings here and there. They say they're going to fix, they're going to build a national stadium, when in fact, what they promise people, they go and deliver. They put a little carpet down out in Diamond and they say they give a national stadium. So they come to us at election time and they say, I am sorry because we neglect you. But here is a bit of lumber, galvanized, some paint, a few nails, some road work in the middle of October. It shows how desperate they are, but more than that, it shows how they think about us as people, as voters, as citizens, the highest office in the land, they like to say. Yet they treat us as though they could just come and give you a little bit of goodies and you forget everything, all they neglected the last 4.5 years. Well, nothing so.
The NDP's Central Leeward candidate, Benjamin Exeter, said the ULP continues to present false hope and promises to Vincentians and does not deserve a 5th term in office.
Doing for the last 5 years was giving us broken promises and failed projects You don't have to look too far to see the failed projects in Central Leeward. Look next door to Peter's Hope. They just told us that we're the mecca of tourism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The mecca. What do we end up with? They took 35 acres of a prime land here in Central Leeward and turned it to what? A graveyard with 10 buildings on it. That's not good enough.
Exeter said while he and the NDP encourages investment opportunities in Central Leeward and SVG on a whole, the negotiations or agreement for these investments must be transparent.
What the deal's all about. We have no idea what the deal is all about there in Bukamet. They brought in a new tenant over there in Sandals. We welcome Sandals, but we want to see what's in that deal. We want to see what's there. We have employees, some of you here today are still owed your money. The government did not pay you. This new company will not pay you. You deserve to be paid. We need to know that when a deal is done, that is Vincentian first who will benefit from that deal.
The NDP Central Leeward candidate further stated that Vincentians do not need a handout once in a while from government, but a hand up for a sustainable livelihood.
You deserve better than this. Your families deserve better than this. Why is it that Central Leeward produces the most football players in the national team, but we have the lousiest playing field? That will change under the NDP. Dr. Friday told you that tonight. He told you that I would, as your representative, would have a seat at the table, represent you. Because the last guy who's been here for 20 years, 26 years, hasn't done that. Look around, look at you. Look around, everybody. And they want to bring somebody, some upstart, to take his place. If the current Deputy Prime Minister couldn't do it,
Reflect, celebrate and prepare. This is a message from Minister of Agriculture Supporter Cesar on the occasion of World Food Day, which is being observed today. He assured Vincentians that food safety is important to one's well-being, and soon there would be the ramping up of monitoring of imported foods.
Security is of first importance, but primary to that is food safety. And in the upcoming year, we are going to ensure that at the borders we increase the testing of the food imported in this country. And this is part and parcel of our day-to-day work to reduce our food import bill, to increase our exports, and to ensure that food sovereignty continues to play a very important role.
The minister said that SVG is blessed with resources and is on target to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030.
As we advance, as we modernize the sector, we have to pay greater emphasis on value addition. Central to this is our quest to develop a modern medicinal industry. We do not have under our soils gold, diamonds, or even oil discovered. But what we have done over the past 5 years is that we have placed a total ban on aerial spraying, a total ban on glyphosate products being used in our country, and we will be working with international organizations to ensure that the levels of pesticides and herbicides used, which can have harm to the body, that they reduce to a number approaching zero.
Cesar noted that in the time of a pandemic, his ministry has handled the interests of farmers and fisher folk well. He is encouraging young people to get involved in agriculture.
I want to encourage the young people in our country to harness the possibilities and opportunities available to them in fisheries and in agriculture. Over the last few months, we witnessed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean and the world, the importance of food security especially since we saw the closure of many borders, the inability to move food across jurisdictions, but St. Vincent and the Grenadines remained food secure.
Teenagers who have been given a second chance at secondary education, having become pregnant, are making good on that opportunity. In this year's CSEC examinations, 2 such teenage mothers topped their school's results and are now looking to the next level of their formal education. Brianna Batiste, a 17-year-old teen mother of a 2-year-old son, topped her class at the West St. George Secondary School. She got her second chance in 2018. Another teen mother of the North Union Secondary School also topped the results for her school, passing 11 subjects. Brianna shares her journey as a student mother with SVG-TV's Nashika Davis.
Brianna Batiste was a Form 3 student of the St. Vincent Girls High School when she became pregnant at the age of 14. She describes her experience of getting pregnant at a young age as very frightening, especially thinking that her secondary education was over. Being very ambitious, Batiste, however, did not allow the pregnancy to end her dreams. She searched for ways to continue her education and found out about the Teen Mothers program in the Ministry of National Mobilization. Batiste was therefore given the opportunity to finish her secondary education at the West St. George Secondary School.
What pushed me to finish school was that, okay, I want a proper job, I want to become an accountant. Hopefully, so you don't know, in this generation of society, you have to have the qualifications. So yes, I know I had to finish my secondary school in order to get what I wanted.
Despite the challenges, Batiste's passion was to become a qualified accountant and a role model to other females. And the presence of a child served as motivation to work even harder. Batiste successfully passed 8 CSEC subjects with 6 grade 1s and 2 grade 2s.
It was fair. It was great. Well, I want to become an accountant. Well, hopefully. I'm working on a scholarship. Well, when I reach out, I want to work on a scholarship to try go to UWI, Cave Hill. Well, try further the studies, get a proper job with proper payments.
The teachers at the West St. George commended her for her performance and described her as very determined with the ability to move mountains. Brianna Batiste is now at the community college pursuing studies in accounts on her way to becoming a successful accountant. She is encouraging other females to take their education seriously and not put themselves at risk of becoming pregnant.
Well, don't make a child stop you. You could go to gender affairs. Well, if you have supportive parents to send you to school and do stuff. Yeah, hold up your head and stop studying with boys and things.
The project field officer for the Teen Mothers program, Hazelyn Lewis, told SVG-TV News that she is proud of Brianna's performance.
And Brianna, congratulations. I know that your future is great. Just keep your head on.
She also highly commended Joanna Hoyt for her performance at the North Union Secondary School.
Joanna Hoyt, she was attending North Union Secondary. She sat 11 subjects and my God, she got 11. You know, and this is so amazing. She got, if you don't, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but she got 6 1s, 4 2s, and 1 3. And I will just take this moment to say publicly, Johanna, we are very proud of you at the Ministry of Mobilization. You did well.
The Back to School Teen Mothers program was introduced in June 2003 to facilitate the re-entry of teen mothers into secondary school in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The program forms part of the inclusive education policy of the government through the collaboration of the Ministries of Education and National Mobilization and others, facilitated through the Gender Affairs Division. Reporting for SVG-TV News, Nashika Davis.
cancer patients in SVG continue to die from the disease, and the COVID-19 travel restrictions had made the situation much worse for those needed to seek treatment abroad. As the Medical Association and sister groups join in marking Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Dr. Rosalind Ambrose says the activities have been scaled back, but today was dubbed Pink Day as persons remember their loved ones who lost their lives to cancer. Larissa Pugsley-Kidd tells us more in this report.
Organizations such as the SVG Medical Association have scaled down activities to mark Breast Cancer Awareness Month due to the pandemic, and today they also observed Pink Day instead of the Pink Cap Walk. President of the association, Dr. Rosalind Ambrose, says that late diagnosis of breast cancer and COVID-19 implications on travel have resulted in patients losing their lives this year.
Require radiotherapy, and there's no access to travel to Trinidad or elsewhere. So we're left to surgery and chemotherapy, which sometimes the grade of the cancer is beyond just surgery and chemotherapy. It needs other treatment.
While not being able to give specific figures on breast cancer-related deaths, Dr. Ambrose, however, said it is anticipated that more women will die as a result of COVID-19 travel restrictions.
The anticipation, unfortunately, is that a few more women may succumb to their disease during this year because of the pandemic.
She again emphasized the need for regular breast examination to be done, and once women reach 40 years of age, to have a mammogram done.
That many women are diagnosed quite late in the disease, so they're very advanced at the time that they're discovered. They're over at the appropriate age. We'll encourage them to have a mammogram.
The Medical Association offers some financial support to women, but Dr. Ambrose said it is usually expensive and they still look forward to help from donor organizations.
For the laboratory tests, which they must do in their follow-up after surgery, the cost of their medication, because it is quite expensive. If it is that they need to send samples, have to go abroad, occasionally we usually have to assist with helping to pay for that.
Meanwhile, teachers at the Kingston Preparatory School and other women associated with the school were decked in pink today. They sought to raise awareness in their own way through the school's Pink Aid project, which started in 2016. Coordinator of the project, Nivette Isle, said that 2 persons who lost their lives to cancer were assisted financially as part of the school's Pink Aid project.
We assisted the security guard when we started off because her daughter came down with cancer. And she had to spend quite a bit. She would update me from time to time, and it's always, so much money for one treatment, like $1,000 for injection, just to keep the daughter alive for a bit. Until she couldn't pay anymore, the daughter died. We also had a teacher whose son was just in grade 2, and apparently he had it from a baby. They keep treating, but in the end he died also.
One young woman lost her mother to breast cancer 3 months ago and recognizes the importance of participating in the Pink Day for Cancer Awareness Month.
This day is very important to me because it hits home for me, and as Miss Isle said, it's very expensive for treatment and so on. So this project is a good one because I've been there and done that with her.
Another young woman said raising awareness is key as she knows of women who lost the battle to cancer.
I had 2 aunts who died from cancer, so I decided that it's a good thing to get on board with Mrs. Isles in support of KPS Pink Aid project.
For SVGTV News, Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.